Daniel had not spoken to his family in 11 months. At first, he told himself it was only temporary. He needed space. He needed time to calm down. He needed to heal from years of misunderstandings, arguments, and words that had been spoken in anger. But as the months passed, silence became easier than forgiveness. Daniel lived alone in a small apartment above an old grocery store. Every evening, he returned home to the same quiet room. He placed his keys on the table, removed his coat, and ate dinner alone. There was no one asking how his day had been. No mother reminding him to eat properly. No brother teasing him. No familiar voice coming from the next room. His phone sometimes lit up with messages from his mother. Daniel would look at them. Then he would turn the phone face down. He told himself he was protecting his peace. But sometimes, when the apartment became completely silent, he wondered whether he had simply built a prison around his heart. The last conversation between Daniel and his younger brother, Samuel, had changed everything. "You always think you're the only one who was hurt," Samuel had shouted. Daniel's face had burned with anger. "Because nobody ever cared enough to ask how I was." Samuel had stared at him. "We cared. Then why did I always feel alone?" Neither of them had an answer. The argument became louder until Daniel finally picked up his bag. His mother had begged him not to leave. "Daniel, please, don't go like this." But he had walked out. He remembered his mother's crying voice behind him. He remembered Samuel standing silently near the door. He remembered thinking that he would never return. That night, he drove away believing distance would heal him. He didn't know that some wounds travel with you. One cold evening, almost a year later, Daniel sat beside his apartment window. Rain covered the glass. The city lights outside looked blurry through the water. He held an old family photograph in his hands. His father was standing proudly in the center. His mother was smiling beside him. Samuel was 17. Daniel was 22. They were standing in front of their old house, all of them smiling, as if nothing in the world could ever separate them. Daniel stared at the photograph for a long time. "I don't even remember when we became strangers," he whispered. A tear rolled down his cheek. He wiped it away quickly. Then he laughed bitterly at himself. He had spent 11 months telling himself he didn't care. Yet one photograph was enough to break him. Just after midnight, his phone rang. Daniel looked at the screen. "Mom." His heart immediately began beating faster. He hadn't spoken to her properly in months. He almost declined the call. His finger hovered over the screen. Then something inside him whispered, "Answer." He pressed the button. "Mom?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then he heard her breathing. "Daniel," she whispered, "I'm sorry for calling so late." "You're not bothering me. Her voice broke. "I just wanted to hear your voice." Daniel closed his eyes. He wanted to say that he missed her. He wanted to tell her that he thought about home almost every day. But pride held the words inside him. Instead, he asked, "Why did you call?" His mother was silent for a few seconds. Then she said, "Because I still pray for you every night." Daniel's hand tightened around the phone. "You still pray for me?" "Every night." Her voice trembled. I pray that God protects you. I pray that He gives you peace. I pray that He heals everything we broke between us." Daniel looked at the family photograph. His eyes filled with tears. His mother continued, "And I pray that one day you'll come home." Daniel swallowed hard. "What if I don't?" She cried quietly. "Then I'll still pray." Those words went deeper into Daniel's heart than any argument ever had. He had expected anger. He had expected blame. He had expected his mother to tell him that he had hurt everyone. Instead, she had prayed for him. Daniel whispered, "Mom!" "Yes? I don't know if I can fix everything." "You don't have to fix everything tonight." Her voice became softer. "Just don't close your heart forever." The call ended a few minutes later. Daniel remained seated in the darkness. The rain continued outside. He looked at the photograph again. For the first time, he allowed himself to remember everything. His mother's cooking, his father's old jokes, Samuel stealing food from his plate, family dinners, Christmas mornings, arguments followed by laughter. He realized something painful. He had spent so much time remembering the moments that hurt him that he had forgotten the thousands of moments that had made him feel loved. Daniel lowered his head. "God," he whispered, "what am I doing?" He didn't know the answer, but something in his heart had begun to change. 3 days later, Daniel received a message from Samuel. Their mother had been taken to the hospital. Daniel read the message twice. His hands began to shake. He immediately called Samuel. "What happened?" "She collapsed at home." "Is she okay?" "The doctors are still checking her." Daniel stood up. "Which hospital?" Samuel gave him the name. Daniel grabbed his jacket and keys. He didn't think about the argument. He didn't think about his pride. He didn't think about who had been right. He only thought about his mother. As he drove through the night, rain began falling again. His eyes filled with tears. "Please, God," he whispered, "please let me see her." When Daniel arrived at the hospital, he rushed through the doors. The bright lights made the long corridor feel cold and unfamiliar. Then he saw Samuel. His younger brother was sitting alone on a bench. He looked exhausted. Their eyes met. For several seconds, neither moved. Finally, Samuel stood. "I didn't know if you would come." Daniel looked down. "I almost didn't." Samuel nodded slowly. "I know." The silence between them felt heavy. Then Daniel asked, "How is Mom?" Samuel looked toward the hospital room. "She keeps asking for you." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "What did the doctor say?" "They don't know yet." Daniel sat beside him. For the first time in 11 months, the two brothers were sitting together. No shouting, no accusations. Just two tired people who had lost too much time. Samuel finally broke the silence. "I was angry at you." Daniel nodded. "I was angry at you too." "I thought you abandoned us." Daniel looked at him. "I thought you wanted me gone." Samuel shook his head. "I never wanted that." "Then why did you say those things?" "Because I was hurt." Daniel's voice became quiet. "So was I." Samuel looked at him. "I know." Those two words were enough to make Daniel's chest tighten. They both realized they had been carrying the same pain in different ways. Daniel had walked away. Samuel had stayed angry. Their mother had been caught between them. And while they were waiting for someone to apologize first, 11 months had disappeared. Samuel whispered, "I should have called you again." Daniel answered, "I should have answered." Neither brother said anything after that, but something had already changed. The door opened. A nurse stepped into the hallway. "She's awake." Daniel immediately stood. His heart pounded as he entered the room. His mother looked weak. Her face was pale. Her hands trembled beneath the blanket. But when she saw Denya, her eyes filled with tears. "You came!" Daniel walked toward her. "I came, Mom." She reached for his hand. He held it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she whispered, "I thought maybe you wouldn't come." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I almost didn't." His mother squeezed his hand. "But you did." Daniel sat beside her. "I'm sorry." She shook her head. "I'm sorry too. I was angry for so long. I know. I thought leaving would make me feel better." His mother looked at him. "Did it?" Daniel couldn't answer. He simply lowered his head and cried. His mother gently touched his hair. "You're still my son." Daniel broke down completely. He leaned forward and rested his head against her shoulder. For the first time in almost a year, he cried without trying to hide it. His mother held him tightly. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. Daniel closed his eyes. "I missed you. I missed you too." Those words healed something inside him. Not everything, but enough to begin. Later that night, after his mother fell asleep, Daniel walked into the hospital chapel. A small wooden cross stood at the front. The room was quiet. Daniel sat alone. He didn't know how to pray anymore. Finally, he bowed his head. "God?" His voice trembled. "I don't know how to fix my family." He wiped his tears. "I don't know how to forgive everything." He looked toward the cross. "But if there is still a way back." He took a deep breath. "Please show me." A few moments later, Daniel heard footsteps behind him. He turned. Samuel was standing at the chapel entrance. He walked slowly toward him. Neither brother spoke. Samuel sat beside Daniel. After a long silence, he whispered, "Can I pray too?" Daniel looked at him. Then he nodded. Samuel bowed his head. "God, please help us become a family again." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Samuel continued, "Help us forgive each other. Help us stop carrying old anger. And please give Mom more time with us." Daniel closed his eyes. It was a simple prayer, but it was exactly what his heart needed. For months, Daniel had prayed alone for peace. Now, for the first time, he was praying beside the person he had once considered impossible to forgive. The next few weeks were not easy. Their mother slowly recovered. Daniel stayed close. Samuel stayed too. They began talking about everything they had avoided for years. Sometimes the conversations were painful. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they disagreed, but they no longer walked away. Daniel learned that forgiveness wasn't pretending the past never happened. It was choosing not to let the past control the future. Samuel learned that saying sorry did not make him weak. Their mother learned that her sons were finally listening to each other. Little by little, The family began rebuilding itself. Not the family they had been before. A different one. A stronger one. One built on honesty, forgiveness, and grace. Months later, Daniel moved back home. One Sunday morning, he stood in the kitchen holding a cup of coffee. His mother was preparing breakfast. Samuel was laughing about something. The house was noisy. There were dishes on the table. Someone had left a jacket on the chair. The kitchen was crowded, and Daniel had never been happier to hear noise. He looked around. For months, he had believed peace meant having no one around. Now he understood. Sometimes peace is not silence. Sometimes peace is sitting at a crowded table with people who know your wounds and still choose to love you. Daniel smiled. His mother noticed. "What are you smiling about?" Daniel looked at her. "Nothing." Then he paused. "Actually, everything." That evening, Daniel stepped outside and looked toward the sky. He remembered the night he had almost given up on his family. He remembered the loneliness, the photograph, the phone call, his mother's trembling voice. "I still pray for you every night." He finally understood that her prayer had been working long before he knew it. God had not changed everything in one moment. He had slowly softened hearts. He had opened doors. He had brought Daniel back before it was too late. Daniel closed his eyes. "Thank you, God." Behind him, the front door opened. His mother called, "Daniel, dinner is ready." He smiled. "Coming, Mom." He walked back inside. His family was waiting, and this time he didn't feel trapped. He felt blessed. He had almost given up on his family, but someone had never given up on him. Someone had kept praying. And sometimes one sincere prayer is all it takes for a broken heart to find its way home.